What were the main causes of the American Revolution, and how did tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain escalate to the point of war? The main causes of the American Revolution can be traced back to a range of economic, political, and social factors that had been brewing for years. Here are some of the key factors that led to the escalation of tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain. 1. Taxation. The British government began imposing a series of taxes on the American colonies, such as the Stamp Act and the Tea Act, which the colonists viewed as a violation of their rights as Englishmen. 2. Trade regulations. The British government also implemented a series of trade regulations that restricted the ability of the colonies to trade with other nations, which the colonists viewed as an infringement on their economic freedom. 3. Representation. The colonists believed that they were entitled to representation in the British Parliament, and they were angered by the fact that they had no say in the decisions that were being made about their lives and livelihoods. 4. Militarization. The British government began to increase its military presence in the colonies, which the colonists viewed as a threat to their freedom and autonomy. 5. Enlightenment ideas. The ideas of the Enlightenment, which emphasized individual rights and freedoms, had a significant impact on the colonists, and they became increasingly vocal in their demands for greater autonomy and self-determination. As tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain continued to escalate, a series of protests, boycotts, and demonstrations followed. These eventually led to the outbreak of war in 1775, with the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776 marking the beginning of the American Revolution. How did the American Revolution impact the lives of ordinary Americans, and what role did figures such as George Washington and Benjamin Franklin play in the struggle for independence? The American Revolution had a profound impact on the lives of ordinary Americans, transforming their political, social, and economic realities. Here are some ways in which the revolution impacted the lives of everyday Americans. 1. Political freedom. The American Revolution established the United States as a new and independent nation, granting American citizens the right to self-governance and political freedom. 2. Economic opportunities. With the establishment of the United States, Americans gained new economic opportunities and the ability to trade freely with other nations. 3. Social equality. The revolution challenged the hierarchical social order that had existed in colonial America, opening up new opportunities for social mobility and equal rights for all citizens. 4. Military service. The American Revolution required the participation of ordinary Americans in the military, giving them a sense of ownership and investment in the outcome of the war. George Washington and Benjamin Franklin played crucial roles in the struggle for independence. George Washington served as the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and led the American forces to victory in the Revolutionary War. His leadership and military expertise were instrumental in securing American independence. Benjamin Franklin was a statesman, diplomat, and intellectual who played a key role in drafting the Declaration of Independence and securing international support for the American cause. His ideas and influence helped to shape the political and social ideals of the new American nation. Overall, the American Revolution transformed the lives of ordinary Americans, granting them new political, economic, and social freedoms, and establishing the United States as a beacon of democracy and self-determination. The contributions of figures such as George Washington and Benjamin Franklin were critical in the achievement of American independence and the establishment of the United States as a new and free nation. What were some of the key battles and military strategies of the American Revolution, and how did they shape the course of the war? The American Revolution was fought over a period of 8 years, from 1775 to 1783, and involved a number of key battles and military strategies that shaped the course of the war. Here are some of the most significant battles and strategies of the American Revolution. 1. Lexington and Concord, 1775. The first battle of the American Revolution took place in Massachusetts, where British troops attempted to seize colonial arms and ammunition. The colonial militia fought back, leading to a standoff that marked the beginning of the Revolutionary War. 2. Bunker Hill, 1775. In this battle, colonial forces fortified Breed's Hill near Boston and successfully repelled 2 British assaults before being overwhelmed. Despite their loss, the colonists demonstrated that they could stand up to the British Army. 3. Saratoga, 1777. This battle in upstate New York was a major turning point in the war, as the American victory convinced France to ally with the colonists and provide military support. 4. Yorktown, 1781. The final battle of the Revolutionary War took place in Virginia, where American and French forces laid siege to a British army under General Cornwallis. After several weeks, Cornwallis surrendered, effectively ending the war. 5. Guerrilla warfare. American forces often used unconventional tactics, such as hit-and-run attacks and ambushes, to weaken British forces and disrupt supply lines. These tactics proved effective in wearing down the British Army. 6. Foreign assistance. The American Revolution was not won solely by the efforts of the colonial forces. France provided naval and military support to the colonists, while Spain and the Netherlands also assisted in various ways. Overall, the American Revolution was a complex and protracted conflict that was shaped by a range of military strategies and tactics. The key battles and events of the war demonstrated the resilience and determination of the American forces, as well as the importance of foreign assistance in securing American independence. What role did international support play in the American Revolution, and how did the involvement of countries such as France and Spain impact the outcome of the war? International support played a crucial role in the American Revolution, with several foreign powers providing critical assistance to the colonists. Here's how the involvement of France and Spain impacted the outcome of the war. 1. France. The French monarchy provided critical military and financial support to the American colonists, including sending troops, supplies, and loans. The involvement of France was a turning point in the war, as it weakened the British Army and Navy and enabled the colonists to secure key victories. The French naval blockade of Yorktown, which prevented British reinforcements from reaching General Cornwallis, was a decisive factor in the American victory at Yorktown. 2. Spain. The Spanish also provided military and financial support to the American colonists, although their involvement was more limited than that of France. Spanish forces helped to capture key British-held forts in the south, and Spanish ships helped to blockade British ports and disrupt British supply lines. 3. Other countries, such as the Netherlands and Prussia, also provided limited support to the colonists, including loans and supplies. Overall, the involvement of foreign powers in the American Revolution was a critical factor in the outcome of the war. Without the military and financial assistance of France and other countries, the colonists may not have been able to achieve victory against the powerful British Army and Navy. The international support also established important diplomatic relationships between the newly formed United States and other nations, helping to secure the future of the fledgling nation. How did the American Revolution influence the development of American political and social institutions, such as the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? The American Revolution had a profound impact on the development of American political and social institutions, laying the foundation for a new form of government based on democracy, individual rights, and the rule of law. Here are some ways in which the Revolution influenced the development of American political and social institutions. 1. The Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence, signed in 1776, established the principle of popular sovereignty and declared that government derives its power from the consent of the governed. This principle laid the foundation for American democracy and self-government. 2. The Constitution. The American Revolution led to the drafting of the U.S. Constitution, which established a framework for a federal government that included 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial, and a system of checks and balances to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. 3. The Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, which includes the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, was added to protect individual liberties and limit the power of the federal government. It established fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, religion, and the press, as well as the right to a fair trial and protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. 4. Republicanism. The American Revolution helped to establish the principle of republicanism, which emphasized the importance of civic virtue and the common good. This principle helped to shape American political culture and institutions. Overall, the American Revolution transformed American political and social institutions, establishing the principles of democracy, individual rights, and the rule of law that continue to shape the United States today. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are all lasting legacies of the Revolution, providing a framework for American government and society that continues to evolve and adapt to the changing needs of the nation. How did the American Revolution impact the broader global struggle for independence and self-determination, and what lessons can be learned from this period of history? The American Revolution had a significant impact on the broader global struggle for independence and self-determination, inspiring other movements for liberty and democracy around the world. Here are some ways in which the American Revolution impacted global struggles for independence. 1. Inspiration. The American Revolution served as an inspiration for other movements for independence and self-determination, such as the Haitian Revolution and the Latin American Wars of Independence. These movements drew on the principles of democracy, freedom, and self-government that were established during the American Revolution. 2. Spread of republicanism. The American Revolution What were the lasting effects of the American Revolution, and how did they shape the course of American history in the centuries that followed? The American Revolution had a profound and lasting impact on American history, shaping the course of the nation in the centuries that followed. Here are some of the lasting effects of the Revolution. 1. Independence. The American Revolution established the United States as a separate and independent nation, breaking away from British colonial rule and establishing a new form of government based on democracy, individual rights, and the rule of law. 2. Expansion. The Revolution helped to spur westward expansion and the growth of American territory, as the new nation sought to expand its borders and establish itself as a continental power. 3. Slavery and civil rights. The American Revolution sparked debates about the institution of slavery and the rights of African Americans, leading to the abolitionist movement and eventually the Civil War. The struggle for civil rights continues to be a central issue in American politics and society today. 4. International influence. The American Revolution had a profound impact on global politics and international relations, inspiring other movements for independence and democracy around the world and establishing the United States as a global power. 5. Political and social institutions. The Revolution led to the development of American political and social institutions, including the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the principles of democracy, individual rights, and the rule of law that continue to shape American society today. Overall, the American Revolution was a transformative event in American history, establishing the United States as a new nation and setting the course for the country's political, social, and economic development in the centuries that followed. The revolution continues to inspire debates about the role of government, the rights of individuals, and the principles of democracy and freedom, and its legacy remains central to American political culture and identity. How do contemporary Americans view the legacy of the American Revolution, and what lessons can be learned from this important chapter in American history? Contemporary Americans view the legacy of the American Revolution in various ways, depending on their political beliefs and cultural backgrounds. However, most Americans view the Revolution as a crucial chapter in American history that established the foundations for democracy, individual liberty, and self-government. Some Americans view the Revolution as a symbol of American exceptionalism and the country's unique role in world history. They see the Revolution as a triumph of American values and ideals, such as freedom, individualism, and self-determination, and view it as a model for other nations seeking to establish democratic governments. Other Americans view the Revolution more critically, emphasizing its limitations and failures, such as the persistence of slavery and the exclusion of women and minorities from political power. They also point out that the Revolution did not necessarily guarantee equal rights and freedoms for all Americans, and that struggles for civil rights and social justice continue to this day. Overall, the legacy of the American Revolution is complex and multidimensional, reflecting the diverse perspectives and experiences of Americans throughout history. Some lessons that can be learned from this important chapter in American history include the importance of civic engagement, political organization, and collective action, as well as the need to continually strive for greater freedom, justice, and equality for all people, regardless of their background or identity. What were the roles of women, African Americans, and Native Americans in the American Revolution, and how did their contributions shape the course of the war and its aftermath? Women, African Americans, and Native Americans played significant roles in the American Revolution, although their contributions have often been overlooked or downplayed in traditional narratives of the war. Here are some of the ways in which these groups contributed to the revolution and its aftermath. 1. Women. Women played important roles in the American Revolution, both on the home front and in the war effort. They provided support for the troops by making clothing and supplies, raising funds, and serving as spies and messengers. Some women, such as Deborah Sampson, disguised themselves as men and fought in the war. After the Revolution, women continued to play important roles in shaping American society, advocating for women's rights and contributing to social and cultural institutions. 2. African Americans. African Americans also played significant roles in the American Revolution, both as free and enslaved people. Some, such as Crispus Attucks, were among the first to die in the Boston Massacre, while others fought as soldiers in the Continental Army or in state militias. Many African Americans, both free and enslaved, also provided crucial support for the war effort by providing labor and supplies. After the Revolution, the issue of slavery remained a contentious issue, leading to the abolitionist movement and eventually the Civil War. 3. Native Americans. Native Americans were also involved in the American Revolution, although their experiences were complex and varied. Some Native American tribes allied with the British, hoping to protect their lands and sovereignty, while others supported the American cause. The war led to the displacement and dispossession of many Native Americans, contributing to ongoing struggles for Native sovereignty and land rights. Overall, the contributions of women, African Americans, and Native Americans to the American Revolution were significant and shaped the course of the war and its aftermath. These groups played important roles in shaping American society and advocating for social and political change, although their struggles for equality and justice continue to this day. How did the American Revolution impact the global balance of power, and what was the significance of the United States emerging as a new nation on the world stage? The American Revolution had a significant impact on the global balance of power, as the emergence of the United States as a new nation on the world stage challenged the established order and created new opportunities for diplomatic and economic relations between nations. Here are some of the ways in which the American Revolution impacted the global balance of power. 1. British Empire. The American Revolution marked a significant blow to the British Empire, as it lost its 13 North American colonies and the resources and revenue they provided. This weakened the empire's global influence and challenged its dominance in world affairs, setting the stage for other nations to emerge as global powers. 2. France and Spain. The American Revolution also had significant implications for France and Spain, as both nations provided support to the American cause and sought to benefit from the weakening of the British Empire. France provided crucial military and financial support to the Americans, and its involvement helped to weaken the British Navy and challenge its dominance in Europe. Spain also sought to take advantage of the British Empire's decline, leading to conflicts over territories and resources in the Americas. 3. International relations. The emergence of the United States as a new nation on the world stage created new opportunities for diplomatic and economic relations between nations. The United States sought to establish itself as a global power, building alliances and trading relationships with other nations and challenging established notions of international relations and diplomacy. Overall, the American Revolution had significant implications for the global balance of power, challenging established empires and creating new opportunities for international relations and diplomacy. The emergence of the United States as a new nation on the world stage marked a significant shift in global affairs, setting the stage for the emergence of new global powers and challenging established notions of international politics and diplomacy. What were some of the challenges faced by the new American government in the aftermath of the Revolution, and how did they work to establish a stable and effective system of governance? The new American government faced many challenges in the aftermath of the Revolution, as it sought to establish a stable and effective system of governance. Here are some of the key challenges and how the government worked to address them. 1. Creating a new constitution, the Articles of Confederation, which had governed the country during the Revolutionary War, proved to be ineffective in establishing a stable system of governance. The new government had to create a new constitution that balanced power between the federal government and the states, established a system of checks and balances, and protected individual rights and freedoms. 2. Building a strong economy. The new government faced significant challenges in building a strong and stable economy, as the country was burdened with debt from the Revolutionary War and lacked a strong central banking system. The government worked to establish a national bank and promote economic growth through tariffs and other policies. 3. Ensuring national security. The new government faced threats to national security both domestically and internationally, including conflicts with Native American tribes and threats from European powers. The government worked to establish a strong military and diplomatic corps to address these threats and protect the nation. 4. Defining the role of government. The new government had to define the role and responsibilities of the federal government, as well as the rights and responsibilities of individual states. This included establishing a system of federalism that balanced power between the federal government and the states, and ensuring that the government protected individual rights and freedoms. Overall, the new American government faced significant challenges in the aftermath of the Revolution, as it sought to establish a stable and effective system of governance. Through the creation of a new constitution, the promotion of economic growth, the establishment of national security measures, and the definition of the role of government, the government worked to establish a strong and stable system of governance that has endured for over 2 centuries. How did the ideas of the Enlightenment, such as individual rights and limited government, influence the American Revolution and the development of American political institutions? The ideas of the Enlightenment had a profound influence on the American Revolution and the development of American political institutions. Here are some of the ways in which these ideas shaped American politics. 1. Individual rights. The Enlightenment emphasized the importance of individual rights and freedoms, including the right to life, liberty, and property. These ideas influenced the Declaration of Independence, which declared that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights. This emphasis on individual rights shaped American political institutions, including the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which enshrine protections for individual liberties. 2. Limited government. The Enlightenment also emphasized the importance of limited government and the rule of law. This idea influenced the development of the U.S. Constitution, which established a system of checks and balances to prevent any one branch of government from becoming too powerful. It also established a federal system of government, with power divided between the federal government and the states. 3. Popular sovereignty. Another key idea of the Enlightenment was the concept of popular sovereignty, which held that power should be derived from the people. This idea influenced the American Revolution and the establishment of democratic institutions in the United States, including the right to vote and the development of representative government. 4. Separation of powers. The Enlightenment also emphasized the importance of separating the powers of government, with distinct branches responsible for different functions. This idea influenced the U.S. Constitution, which established the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, each with its own set of powers and responsibilities. Overall, the ideas of the Enlightenment had a profound influence on the American Revolution and the development of American political institutions. The emphasis on individual rights, limited government, popular sovereignty, and the separation of powers shaped the course of American history and helped to establish a stable and democratic system of government that endures to this day. What were some of the economic and social factors that contributed to the American Revolution, such as taxation, trade, and slavery? The American Revolution was influenced by a variety of economic and social factors, including taxation, trade, and slavery. Here are some of the key factors. 1. Taxation. The British government imposed a series of taxes on the American colonies, including the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the Tea Act. These taxes were designed to raise revenue for the British government and pay for the cost of the 7 Years' War. The colonists resented these taxes, as they had no representation in the British Parliament, and felt that they were being unfairly burdened. 2. Trade. The British government also imposed a series of trade restrictions on the American colonies, including the Navigation Acts, which restricted the colonies' ability to trade with other countries. The colonists felt that these restrictions were limiting their economic opportunities and stifling their ability to grow and prosper. 3. Slavery. Slavery was a significant social and economic factor in the American colonies, particularly in the southern colonies. The issue of slavery became increasingly divisive in the lead-up to the Revolution, with some colonists arguing for abolition and others defending the institution as essential to the economy and way of life in the southern colonies. 4. Social and political rights. The American colonists also resented their lack of social and political rights, including the ability to elect their own representatives and control their own affairs. They felt that the British government was imposing its will on them without their consent, and that they were being treated as second-class citizens. Overall, the economic and social factors that contributed to the American Revolution were complex and varied. Taxation, trade restrictions, slavery, and social and political rights were all issues that influenced the colonists' decision to rebel against British rule and fight for their independence.